Alright, boys, so today we got some bad news. Sadly, we got some bad information, if you can't tell by the title. Already, we found out that Dungeonborne has an important announcement to make. And Dungeonborne is going to sadly be shutting down. They want to thank all the players of Dungeonborne for playing the game and being a valued member of the the community. But we will regret to inform us that the game is going to be shutting down and be terminated on May 28th, sadly. Which sucks. Dungeonborne is pretty much one of my favorite top games. I'd probably say probably my top favorite games if I think about it. If anything, top 10 for sure. Just sucks that Dungeonborne just gonna be going away, because I think there's a lot of cool things with Dungeonborne. I think Dungeonborne has a lot of great quality of life things in it. If you compare Dungeonborne Dark and Darker, I think Dungeonborne just has so much good quality of life. And if it actually was given the proper amount of time to actually, be around and evolve and get updates and stuff, it actually would have been something that would have been really good. A lot of people like to say that, it's basically just a copy of Dark and Darker, and in reality, not really, actually. Ooh, they're both dungeon extractions. The maps are better, the combat's smoother, it's less janky. They have cool throwable items. They actually had the auction house before Dark and Darker did. Dark and Darker took that from there. They had arenas for Dark and Darker. It's just a lot of cool quality of life stuff, like being able to swap your items back and forth easily. It's so nice. And also the loots on monsters, you know which monsters have loot just by looking at them, and the quality of the loots. Just so many nice quality of life things. I know a lot of people who played Dungeonborne didn't like the combat feel, but it's actually so much smoother, in my opinion. I played both of them. I like Dark and Darker and Dungeonborne. I like Dungeonborne more. It feels like a much more quality of life, better game. But, that's my opinion, of course. It really sucks to lose Dungeonborne. And I know a lot of the Dark and Darker fanboys are going to come in here and just be like, oh, your game died. It's so much worse. Now we got Dark and Darker. And all the fanboys are going to be like, oh, told you Dark and Darker is so much of a better game. We saw this coming. Blah, blah, blah. But, in reality, losing this only hurts you. Dark and Darker players, community, this who just don't like Dungeonborne, this only hurts you. Competition is good. This is not good for you to lose competition. It's bad, actually, because then your games doesn't get much better. And the worst part is that people act like Dark and Darker never had bad updates. Does people forget about patch 69? And that was not too long ago. Even early on, Dark and Darker's been around for a few years now. It's had a lot of time to evolve, and it's had many bad patches that people just seem to forget about or push aside. But yeah, I mean, it sucks that it's going to be going away. I am going to be making a final video on Dungeonborne on the days it's going to be shutting down. I'm going to join the servers, and maybe I'll run some other people, and we'll chill in the game. We'll see. It'll be a goodbye video. It just sucks because Dungeonborne was just so much fun. Dungeonborne just such a good game. There's so many fun, cool things that it had. Before the storm, definitely was not a good patch. They got rid of they reduced the amount of loot that drops, which did not feel good. They should have reverted the loot drops anyways. And yeah, it just sucks that we're going to be losing Dungeonborne. Nice. That's cute. Parrying just feels so much better. Blocking actually does stuff in this game. They had cool bosses. The maps were good. I know Dark and Darker has got more bosses, so. Look at the portals, too. The portals are so much cooler. Look how much cooler this looks compared. How can you look at this and be like, oh, yeah, this looks so much worse than Dark and Darker? It's crazy. People are just on so much copium that this game looked worse. But the game looks so good. The portal's like, look how good that portal looks compared to Dark and Darker, which is just a blue transparent circle. So nice. Oh, it's cute. It's cute. You could get like you actually have character customization. It's very limited. You don't get that in Dark and Darker. I guess you get like the skins, but you're gonna wear the skin that has the best stats realistically, right? So that doesn't really mean anything. I love the Kratos skin. I'm gonna miss fighting like the Lynch King and doing all that stuff. Oh, Dungeonborne. What you could have been. I hope that I hope that someday someone just brings back Dungeonborne. Like, hopefully, in the future, it could be years from now, who knows? It may just never happen at all. But I hope that, like, someday, like, of all the people look at all the people in the community we have here, too. I hope that someday that, Dungeonborne comes back from the dead. Someday. Someday in the future, I hope some company buys it. It would be nice to have Dungeonborne come back and not just have this be the end of Dungeonborne altogether. We had many good times in here. Many... Oh, man. Farming Klothos. Klothos was definitely a very questionable event. It definitely could have been better. They definitely should have made it so you had like all the items unlocked in Klothos, like legendaries and everything. Just so like everyone had a fair shot instead of just person who had legendaries actually made it so I better stop scrolling before I scroll across something that I shouldn't. We should be a little careful. Should be a little careful. But yeah, this look, how could you be like that? Game doesn't look good at all. Game looks terrible. It would really be nice to have Dungeonborne just like come back in the future, I hope. Maybe there's some copium there, but maybe someday Dungeonborne makes a return. We can only hope. God, game looks so good. Man, I miss this game already. I miss this game already. I wish I could play more of it. The game just looks so good. Mimic pots. Mimic pots are great. Cyclops fight. Dead teams. A lot of dead people. Like, this guy has blue gear, this guy has blue gear, green gear, white gear. I can literally tell you right off the bat what gear these people have because they have this loot system in the game, which is so nice. Like, yet again, so much quality of life to this game. It's so good. So good. Oh, look at that potion stacking. Look at that potion stacking. That's cool. I like that. Like, look how cool this looks. You can't be like, oh, the game looks awful. Like, oh, it looks so good. Just such a good looking game. Look at this. And gear actually, the thing that I really like about Dungeonborne 2 is that the gear actually matters. Like, this guy wearing all this gear actually matters. This gives him gear sets bonuses. This actually gives him stats. The thing about like Dark and Darker is that you take off your gear and then there's no downside really. Sure, you take more damage, I suppose, but like you are faster. Then what are you gonna do when they can't catch you? Like, it's just gear in Dark and Darker just does not matter as much as it does in Dungeonborne. God, the game looks so... This customization, the game looks so nice. Yeah, I am going to... This dungeon... Oh my god. Don't... You know what? You are... Maybe you're right. Maybe the game does need to go. Oh, the Lynch King fight. The Monarch fight. Oh, this is a good fight. That's such a cool boss. The game's so cool. Yeah, but Dark and Darker... not Dark and Darker. Dungeonborne is shutting down, sadly. This is going to be when it turns off. It's going to be terminated. I'm actually surprised that they will be doing this. Because, like, the thing is, some people actually don't know this, actually. I feel like I should include this sooner. But, like, I feel like it's interesting. because like it's shutting down now, but people act like the game's been abandoned for a while. They've actually been updating the game for quite a while. People actually don't know this. For people who don't stay informed, there's been people who like data mine some things here and there, and they actually have been updating the game. There's actually a Season 1 beta test server. It's only for China, of course, which sucks. That's why we can't play it. Or else I would have been playing it. If I could play the beta for Season 1, I would have been playing the hell out of that. I was looking forward to that. A lot of people were looking forward to the Season 1 release, and they actually had a Season 1 cosmetic for people who actually played the game before Season 1. If you logged into Season 1, you got a cosmetic for playing the game before. So they were still updating the game, and they were still working on stuff. It was still being worked on. It's not like it was completely abandoned. People don't know that, actually, unless you actually kept update with the game. They were still updating the game. There was cosmetics you can get for playing on Season. They had a Season beta. There's actually literally a video out there of the Season beta stuff. So, like, it was out there. It's there. It was being worked on. And then it just is being shut down now. So I'm assuming, if I had to guess, something went wrong with the Season beta stuff that they only had for China. I don't know what it could be, because it was only for China. Who knows? It could have been something that happened over there and went wrong. I have no idea, but something happened, because it was still being worked on. There was still being progress made on the game. It just stopped. I do have some information. Let's see here. Because someone did come out and say there has been some information shared about some things, because some people like to blame just Hellhammer for all the issues, and there was that whole meme of that, like, oh, this is Hellhammer's vision for the game. But, like, I actually don't fully blame Hellhammer. I've actually talked to Hellhammer a good amount on my own. I'm not gonna leak any of that information, but me and Hellhammer have communicated back and forth. He's actually the main reason why I started posting videos in the Discord and being more active in the Discord, because he actually came out and talked to me first. He reached out to me first out of everything and talked to me, and then we just communicated since then. So, let me see here. I got this screenshot here. We have this. So this here, someone shared when their NDA expired about some of the development behind the scenes of what was going on. I am willing to believe this person, because they're higher up in the Dungeonborne team, which means they do have some more information about that. So I'm willing to believe this. They also shared a screenshot here of their messages between each other, just a little clip of it. And it is talking about Hellhammer do believe that they do have the better product. And which I'm assuming when Hellhammer is talking about this, they're talking about compared to Dark and Darker. And yet again, a lot of good quality of life. I don't think the recent patch update was one of the best, but also Dark and Darker doesn't have good patch updates either. So, to be fair, that happens. But yeah, I do think that there was a good future for Dungeonborne. However, based on some of the things that I have read here and some of the things that have came out and been shared, and some of the things I have talked about with Hellhammer or that has been shared with me privately, I do think that Tencent is to blame here because of this stuff all here. I do believe that Tencent is at fault of mostly why the game failed, and Hellhammer did try to do pretty well with the game on his own, but you can only go so far with what you have on your limited resources. I'm not saying Hellhammer is not completely at fault. I think he did the best he could in a bad situation. I think Hellhammer is actually kind of a nice person. At least he seems nice. I've talked to him yet again. I've had communication with him quite a bit, back and forth. He's helped me out with some stuff that he literally did not have to give me anything or help me at all, and he literally went out of his way to do that and help me. So I don't think Hellhammer's that bad of a person, and when he actually disappeared and went missing, I do think it's because of him running out of resources, or maybe it's the whole China thing. Maybe Tencent took over for the China test server. I have no idea. We don't know what happened with that test server completely. No idea. It was only for China, so we don't know. But I don't think Hellhammer is fully to blame. But I think Hellhammer did what he could in kind of a shitty situation. Just kind of how that happened. It's just sucks, really. And there's more stuff that's in the Discord. I just don't really care to go through and get all the screenshots. But there's other stuff there. And it just honestly sucks because, yet again, I think Dungeonborne was such a good game and it had its place here. It just needed more patches. It only ever had, what, 2 patches? 2 patch updates, and then that's really all that they got to do because then their team got pulled apart by Tencent, and after that, there was just not. After that, it was just falling through because that's just what they were left with. Wasn't much to work with, sadly. So I hope that some company, maybe in the future, sees like the promise or see the potential that Dungeonborne had, and then they buy the rights or something like that, and then like they just take over Dungeonborne, and it makes a rise in the future as something else. Who knows? I just hope that there's so much good quality of stuff here, and the game is so good, and it looks really good, that I think it could make a return and be really good if with actual like devs are given the time to actually make the game work out and everything. And who knows, maybe Hellhammer makes a return in the future as like a dev that works with it. Who knows? You know, anything can happen, right? But yeah, for now, Dungeonborne is going to be shutting down on May 27th to 2018th. And that will be the last time we play it. I will be getting on that day. Maybe we'll run into some people. Maybe we'll get some fights here and there. But it sucks because, like I said, Dungeonborne is one of my top 5 favorite games. Top 5, top 10. It's so good. And people who do not give it the time to actually like play it, to actually feel how it actually, the combat and everything, and see all the good things about it, and they're just coping out of their mind that like the game looks awful and stuff. They're just so full of it. It's such a good game. You can not like it, that's fine, but to say that like things like the graphics look so much worse is just crazy to me. It makes no sense. But yeah, that's gonna be it for Dungeonborne. Now, for us, because I like playing dungeon extraction games, what does that mean for us going forward? So this does mean that I have to do something right now that I'm not the biggest fan of doing, but I do like playing dungeon extraction games, and sadly, I would love to play Dungeonborne. I would love to play more Dungeonborne. I would love it. It'd be so much fun. But we have to settle for the next best thing. I know. The next best thing. We'll have to settle for it. Just wanted to share the bad news that Dungeonborne is shutting down. It is going away, so play Dungeonborne while you can now if you want to play it. If you can get into any games, play the casual castle mode, the lower lobby mode, because that's the only one you probably can get games into, because I think that mode still has some people that play in it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's really all you can do, and it sucks. Because now we lose competition for Dark and Darker, and then now Dark and Darker doesn't get better, so just kind of how that is, sadly. I will miss Dungeonborne. It was good while it lasted, but yeah, Dungeonborne is officially shutting down in the future during May, which sucks because May's like my month, so it kind of sucks. It makes May kind of a bit more crappy for me, but yeah. I still have some more clips to post of Dungeonborne. Like, I still have like some montages, or some random moments that I will make and put out there. I still have like a decent amount because I found one of my old hard drives that had more clips. So I'll be posting those. But once May 28th comes around, I will post my gameplay of playing for that final day, and I will stay on the server until it shuts down, kind of like I do with V Rising and every other game I play. So yeah, that's gonna be it for that. It's a sad time right now, sadly, for Dungeonborne. And sadly for Dungeonborne, on the May 20th when it comes around, that'll be the last time I will probably be seeing you guys for Dungeonborne. So hopefully it returns in the future, but it might not. Just sucks. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I'll be seeing all of you guys in the next one. Peace.